Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Naso here from IPR365.com with the latest on the tropics. And when we take a look out there today, you can see we do have two features that we are watching with some considerable interest as we head towards August. The first is this tropical wave here, which is not an invest and is in an unfavorable area for development. Nonetheless, there are some heavy rain showers heading up towards the Greater Antilles and the Bahamas that we're going to keep an eye on, and you can see some feeder bands here also heading towards the U.S. Virgin Islands. And whenever you see something like that in late July, early August, it does capture the imagination. Our more significant feature down here is Invest 99L, which is looking a bit more organized today, and this does have some potential, at least, to begin to make a move into the Caribbean Sea over the next, say, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. And if it does, we could be dealing with a tropical storm within the next 10 days or so. You can clearly see there is some rotation in there when you watch that loop, and that's why we're keeping such a close eye on things as of right now. Now here's the latest on our invest as far as the model guidance is concerned. All the models generally take it west to west-northwest into the Caribbean Sea, and if you follow the GFS model, Jamaica here would be the area that, say, by 5, 6, 7 days would be dealing with whatever becomes of the system. Also have the UK Met here that we are watching with some interest as well towards Cuba and Hispaniola. Nonetheless, if it continued its current motion, it would be very far south in the Caribbean, to where, extrapolated out, it would end up even making landfall in, say, Honduras or Nicaragua. But not all the models agree. Some do want to take it further north, and if we look at what climatology would normally say, we would be looking at something probably in this general direction. However, it's so far south we may not see that type of pattern with it. Only time will tell. Now here's the latest satellite loop on the visible RGB image. Clearly you can see there is some kind of spin to it. Whether or not it's completely closed off at the low levels, that does not appear to be the case, but it is up to a 30% chance from the National Hurricane Center. You can see these stable clouds up here indicating some drier air, and that is going to be an inhibiting factor. But wind shear is not a problem as of right now, but it will become a problem later down the road. You can see it does have a little bit of a safe harbor over the top of it. Our wave, however, is running into 40 knots of wind shear up here. That's why it is unlikely to develop. But as this whole region moves further into the Caribbean, once it gets past this area here south of Puerto Rico, conditions might warrant some gradual development, but the key word there is gradual. It's going to be slow to develop. Here's a better look at the lowering shear tendencies in the eastern Caribbean, and the high shear tendencies for our first wave there north of Puerto Rico that we're going to be watching with some interest. Now the no gaps model does take the system north of the islands and ends up actually here nearing the Bahamas, clearly making a turn to where it would end up probably completely missing land. However, that would indicate a very quick movement towards the west, northwest, and northwest, similar to what Hurricane Bill did about 3 years ago. That does not seem as likely as staying with the low-level flow being weak and moving into the Caribbean Sea. The Canadian model is even more interesting here, taking the system right up along the spine of the Caribbean islands to being just north of the eastern Cuba coastline in 144 hours, with a general motion towards, say, the Florida Keys. But of course a system like that, a track like that, might not be very strong at all. You can see it does most of its strengthening in the northeast Caribbean before getting caught up over land. Some more model runs have shown anything from a system moving out to sea to getting into the Gulf to landfall in New England. But all of this is just speculation. We don't have a closed off low-level center yet, but if we get one and we head into August and we have a system moving into the Caribbean, we will have to keep an eye on it. No doubt about that. Now, there's nothing in the eastern Pacific to be concerned with, but we do have Typhoon Seola in the western Pacific. It's Category 1 with winds of 75. It is expected to become a Category 3 and then slam into the China coastline as a potent typhoon, and we have another system, Tropical Storm Dam Ray, which is up to 50 miles an hour, and that is also moving west just to the north and east of our typhoon, but it is not expected to become a typhoon, but that will also slam into the coastline. And when we take a look at the satellite loop there of the Western Pacific, clearly we have those two systems both looking better organized, our typhoon looking much better defined than earlier, with that convection wrapping all the way around the center and closing off an eye, and Dam Ray up here looking more and more like it's trying to become a typhoon, but whether or not it does, not sure. But clearly there is some interaction between the two that we're going to have to watch, and yet again another feature behind it. This could easily spin up into another tropical cyclone. Well, I'm Mike Naso from IPR with the latest on the tropics. I will see you next time.